Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining me once again. It's December 21st. We're a couple days away from Christmas. Hans Gruber on my advent calendar. It's just about in the parking lot of Nakatomi Tower. And that means it's just about Christmas. I'm your host, Sean Tomlin. This is Upon Further Review with Sean Tomlin. And it's such a great time. I've been having such a great time with doing this season. Obviously, Fantasy Football Championships are going to be wrapping up 2 weeks left. So that's going to be the end of the season. So we got 2 episodes left in the season. Hopefully you tune in for all of those episodes coming up. Been having a lot of fun. When we do our final episode, I will be going into about another podcast that we'll be doing for the year. Probably starting in February. Haven't quite figured out the time I'll be starting to do that. But hopefully you guys will tune into that show. That one's not going to be anything to do with football. It's just going to be random people talking about random things hosted by me. All right, everybody. Let's get back to our Week 15 recap and look back at all the action that happened last week. Obviously, by the time I did the episode, because we were doing it on Saturdays now, Thursday Night Football had already gone off, so I already did my review for that episode, or that game last episode. So we're going to start right into Sunday morning's action. We had the Chiefs going up against the Browns. The Chiefs took them 21-7. It wasn't anything special. It wasn't that the Chiefs just looked dominant and no one could do anything about it. It was just merely the fact that they were playing the Browns. And I can't even say now that they've lost to Deshaun Watson that things have kind of started to go downhill. Actually, they've started to look better. But Jameis Winston, unfortunately, is... I can't remember if he's dealing with some kind of an injury or if he is just being benched. Can't remember. Something Thompson is going to be playing for them going forward right now until all of that is settled out. So really, it wasn't a game that you'd probably look back on and be like, wow, that was a great game. It was just the Chiefs beating inferior team, the Browns. Next, we had the Cowboys beating the Panthers 30-14. This was a good matchup. It was a good matchup for the Cowboys. It wasn't much of a test. I kind of saw the Cowboys taking this one easily because of the Panthers, how bad they've been all year long. Bryce Young, past couple of weeks, has been looking a lot better, but this was not the game that he was looking better in. He was looking pretty fragile and just didn't have it all really going together. Next, we had the Texans beating the Dolphins 20-12. I honestly thought the Dolphins were going to win this game. But they came out and they just fucking looked horrible. The Texans were able to just dominate them on all facets of the game. It was just a really bad game by the entire Dolphins. Tua was just looking god-awful. And he was able to get the ball to Jonnu Smith. And they were able to have some good connections and points going on there, but besides that, the entire offense looked pretty anemic. Next up, we had the Jets beating the Jaguars. They took them down 32-25, and actually, Aaron Rodgers had a pretty good day. He was looking more Aaron Rodgers-y like than what we have seen in the past 2 years. Obviously, he did not play last year because 4 plays in and he blows out his Achilles, and it was the Jets thing. That was great, but a lot of stuff we'll talk about later about Aaron Rodgers going into next season and stuff like that. I still think he's got some good games in him this year, and I still think he's got some good games left in his career, but we'll see. Let's not get too crazy about things right now. Commanders beat the Saints next in their next matchup, 20-19. Even though fake Mahomes had a pretty good end of the game, getting 2 field goals and a touchdown, he just wasn't able to do it. And I call him fake Mahomes, Spencer Rattler, because look at the guy. He looks like he's dressing up as Patrick Mahomes for Halloween. Like, Santa, Do something about that, man. It's not Halloween, it's Christmas. Like, dude, you don't need to look like Patrick Mahomes. But, whatever. In our next matchup, the Ravens beat the Giants 35-14. Didn't see the Giants putting up any resistance there, and they didn't. It was a pretty bad matchup for the Giants in general, and the Ravens just were able to beat them up again. And that's what the Ravens have been doing to a lot of teams lately. Obviously, we've got them playing today, and as I am filming this video, I have not seen where they are at, and I will not be able to talk about that one. That'll be on next week's episode. But I will be able to talk about the other two matchups, or the one matchup that happened on Thursday and the matchup that happened earlier today. All right, to round off the Sunday morning action, we had the Bengals beating the Titans 37-27. That actually was a lot closer than what I thought it was going to be. The Titans really haven't done anything relevant at all. Their quarterback situation is really up and down. Although Will Levis has come out and said that, like, I am still thinking I am your QB of the future and the future of your franchise. And guys come out and say these kinds of things all the time. It's good because you want to have confidence in yourself. You don't want to come out there and be like, yeah, well, I'm blowing some big dicks right now, and I'm just not going to be anything you guys want. So think about that when you go to give me some money. No, they're not going to say that, and it's also good to see that they have that drive and determination still in them. So it's good to see that from Levi's, but obviously he's just not getting the job done. So we'll see what happens going forward with that. All right, we'll move into our Sunday afternoon action with the Broncos. Beat my Colts. They do 1-13. Pretty much shut down our playoff hopes. It's still available. Obviously, with the Broncos losing this past matchup, which I will get into in just a moment here. They beat me 31-13. It was a bad day by the Colts all around. I think Richardson, he didn't look bad. He didn't look great. And none of the wide receiving options were looking good at all. And I believe Alec Pierce went out earlier in the game, and that really hurt. His long ball connection has been great with Richardson, and it just sucks to not have him out there because Richardson's pretty good at just bombing that ball out. Now we're going to move on to the Cards versus the Pats. And the Cards beat them 30-17. Yeah. The Cards are actually looking pretty good lately. James Conner is starting to look like a pretty decent back. Although, if you've been watching him for the past couple of years, you know that he has that elite level and that he's just a touchdown machine. He always seems to be getting in there for TDs. And, ever since even when he was in Pittsburgh, I always thought he was a very good running back, and I'm glad to see him flourishing in Arizona these past few years. Next up, we had the Bills beat the Lions 48-42. This was a crazy game. Josh Allen is looking like an MVP caliber type quarterback. I'll tell you what, after his last 2 weeks, 5 passing touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns in 2 games, like, Jesus, man, that guy is looking unbelievable. In our next matchup, also on that last matchup, I did mention that would be a matchup to watch, and it turned out to be that way. So that's going to be a team that I think you're going to watch going forward. They seem like they may be coming up on challenging those Chiefs for the top seed. They obviously are looking like the best team in the AFC right now. Then we had the Bucs beat the Chargers 40-17. Saw a lot more coming out of that Chargers defense than it did, but with all the things that have been happening with the offense for Los Angeles, it just doesn't look like it's going to come together this season, but a lot of good things to build on. Obviously, the Chargers are still in the hunt there, and you may as well you probably will see them as a playoff team. But I just don't think they're going to get over that hump of that team that's going to be running towards their championship this year. Then our next matchup, we had the Eagles beating the Steelers 27-13. That was great to see. I originally had the Steelers beating them. I thought that they were going to be able to do a lot better than they did. They did play a good match, but the Eagles overall were the better, more dominant, more powerful team. And it looks like A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are finally getting back on the same page. Good. Because you got Shaquan Barkley there. Don't give up on him, man. He's a good guy. Next, we had Sunday Night Football. And that was the Packers beating the Seahawks 30-13. I thought the Seahawks were going to be, what's the word? A little bit more dominant in that matchup. Maybe that's not the right word to say. I thought they were going to be able to push a little bit harder, give a little bit of a harder, better game. But those Packers are looking pretty dominant right now. They've looked steady all year. They're starting to kick it up a little bit these past few weeks. So I think the Packers are quite a good team. Somebody you're going to be wanting to look at in the NFC for their playoffs. Besides that, I think you'll probably end up seeing the Seahawks out there too, because they have been doing well. But it's one of those things where, just like I was saying with the Chargers, I think you're going to see them in the playoffs, but I don't think they're really going to go anywhere. I don't think they're going to be that team that's running for a championship this year. I just don't see the caliber in that team right now. We'll move on to Monday Night Football now. On Monday night, we had two games. We had the Vikings beat the Bears 30-12. Saw that one coming. Vikings are just a much better team, and the Bears just are, bottom of the league right now. Not like, whoa, like down at the very bottom, but they're definitely in the bottom 10 of the league, I would say. Then on our next matchup, we have the Falcons beat the Raiders 15-9. There's going to be news on that later on about what's going on with Kirk Cousins and the quarterback situation there. So, moving into this week, Thursday Night Football, we had the Broncos going up against the Chargers. The Chargers ended up winning 34-27. That was a pretty entertaining match to watch for a Thursday night matchup, but still, not that great. Players don't really like playing Thursday night, and it hasn't shown as much this year. But if you've watched the last couple of years, especially when they had their color rush thing, trying to promote a little bit, it's been bad football. So, love seeing it, love having extra football, but I would just prefer an extra game on Sunday, honestly, and get rid of this Thursday fiasco. Then Saturday, we had a game going today. Earlier today was the Chiefs versus the Titans. They ended up winning 27-19. I had the Chiefs winning in that one, and I had the Broncos winning in the other matchup, so I'm 1-1 on my picks, which we're going to get into right now. We're going to get over to my weekly picks. Last week, I ended up finishing 10-6 with my picks. Overall, I'm a 103.57 with a .643 win percentage. So, making some good picks. I haven't been below 500 for a week. So, that's going to make me feel good. And obviously, I always pick the Colts. And I always root against the Patriots. So, whenever I make those picks, obviously, make your own decision on that one, because I'm always going to pick the Colts and I'm never going to pick the Pats, because I love the Colts and I hate the Patriots. Well, for Thursday Night Football, obviously, like I was saying before, this game already happened. Chargers won, but I had the Broncos going there. Saturday, I had the Chiefs winning over the Texans, and they actually did. In the next matchup, which I don't know what's going on with it right now, not watching it currently at the moment, Steelers versus the Ravens. I've got the Ravens winning in that matchup, so we'll see what happens with that. Sunday morning, this is when the action really starts. We got the Titans versus the Colts. Who am I taking? I'm taking the Colts. The Colts are going to rip that one out. Then we got the Bengals going up against the Browns. The Browns are horrible, so you got to be taking the Bengals on that one. And another one, Giants versus the Falcons. This one is going to be kind of a hard one. The Giants are capable of winning games. They're not as bad as some of the other teams, although they are pretty bad. There is some information that I will talk about in our final thoughts at the end of the episode about the quarterback situation for the Falcons. But I am picking the Falcons to beat the Giants anyways, no matter who they have in there, because it's the Giants. I'm trying to sugarcoat it, be nice about this, but it's the Giants. Then we got the Cards going up against the Panthers. I'm taking the Cards on that one because the Panthers are just garbage. They're just bad. Then we got the Lions going against the Bears. There's no way the Bears are beating the Lions, so I'm taking the Lions on that one. Rams versus the Jets. I'm going to go for the Jets on this one, especially after last week of how Aaron Rodgers was able to come to a little bit more fruition, be more of the Aaron Rodgers that we know and have loved over the past. And him and Adams seem to be getting back together, doing some good things on the football field. So I'm going to be taking the Jets in that one. Then we got the Eagles versus the Commanders. I think this is probably going to be one of the matchups of the week that we're going to want to watch. I got the Eagles winning in that one, but it could very well be the Commanders. But I got the Eagles going up against them in that matchup. Sunday afternoon, we got the Vikes versus the Seahawks. I think this is also going to be a matchup you're going to be wanting to watch. I got the Vikes winning in that one. I think that's going to be another good showing for the Vikings. The Vikings are a good team, and they're showing it this year. Then we got the Jags versus the Raiders. Normally, I don't pick the Raiders. It's the Jaguars. The Jaguars are horrible. So I'm picking the Raiders in that one. Yes, you might see my moose mug out. Having a little rub and eggnog. 'Tis the season. 'Tis the season. Next up, with the Pats going up against the Bills. Do I need to say it? I'm going the Bills. They've looked amazing, and they're going up against the Patriots. Fuck the Patriots. Then we got the 49ers versus the Dolphins, even though the Dolphins did really, really bad in their last matchup against the Titans. I think that they're going to pull this one out. There's going to be some running back. Garrado is going to be out. So Patrick is going to be filling in for him in the running back position for that game. And I just don't think the San Francisco 49ers have it this year. I think the Dolphins are going to easily take those guys. Then we've got Sunday Night Football. The Bucs going up against the Cowboys. Them boys. I think the Bucs are going to win. Why? The Cowboys are up and down. And I want to see good things for them. I just don't see it happening. And the Bucs have been looking a lot more dominant this season. Monday Night Football. We've got the Saints versus the Packers. And I'm going Packers on that one. I just don't think the Saints have it at all this year. There's a lot of things going on in that whole team that just need to be fixed. Like I said there before, they're not the bottom of the league, but they're definitely in that bottom 10. Alrighty. Well, weekly picks are done. Now we're going to go into the top threes at all fantasy positions. We'll start off with our quarterbacks. We had Jared Goff with 41 plus points. Actually, he is number 2. I wrote that down wrong. Josh Allen once again led quarterbacks with his great day with 48 plus points. Then Jared Goff with 41 plus points. And rounded out by Lamar Jackson with 30 plus points. Running backs, we had James Conner with 31 plus points. Jamar Gibbs with 28 plus points. And rounding it out, James Cook with 27 points. Next, for our wide receivers, we had Devontae Adams with 45 plus points leading the way. Mike Evans with 38 plus points. And Amon St. Brown, the Sun God, 38 plus points. Tight ends, we had Jonnu Smith, 19 plus. Sam Laporta with 19 plus. And Mr. Strange, 18 plus. With Mr. Ingram being out for the Jaguars. They need to throw it to some tight end, and Strange was the one that did. To round out our top threes at all positions, we got our defenses. We had it led by the Packers with 43 plus points, the Chiefs 42 plus points, and the Saints 40 plus points. So a lot of good points all around. A lot of different guys seen in some positions and some regulars at other positions. All right, let's get into the Clusterfuck 2 first round of the playoffs. Look back. So in the divisional round of the Shooter McGavin League, we had the Monty Lake Colts, my team, going up against Billy Bob Jr., Nathan's team. Nathan, you came out on top of your division, and now you're moving on to the divisional championship round, beating me 168.7 to 115.6. It was a tough day, tough loss. My team just didn't have it. I was led by Josh Jacobs, 20 plus points, and Johnny Smith, 19 plus. Nate, your team was led by Lamar Jackson once again with 47 plus points, and the Packers defense with 43 plus points. How was it going to come back from that? Nate, you finished last year and took home the Rudy. This year, you're on your way to winning that league championship. But you got to get through the divisional championship round, which you are on your way to now. You are in the midst of it. It is happening. My bid to return to the league championship this season, it was thwarted by you, Nathan. It's right here. Right here in the fat is over my heart. But it's in there, and that's where it hurts. Nature 3-1 against me all time. So 1-0 against me in the playoffs. Take that for what it is. In our next matchup in the Shooter McGavin division, we had Lawson's team, Andy Reid Analbead, beating Les's team, Tropic Thunder, 208.4 to 119.95. Lawson, you were led by Mike Evans with 38 plus points and James Conner with 31 plus points. Les, you were led by the Texans defense, 32 plus points, and Gibbs, 25 plus points. So what does this mean for you, Lawson? Well, you move on to the divisional championship round, going up against Nate. Good luck to you. Godspeed. Lawson, this one's got to feel good for you. Last year, Les knocked you out in this round. This year, you got a little bit of revenge on him and knocked him out. Will you be able to take it all the way, or will you fumble like Les did in the championship round, the divisional championship round? So obviously we've got that set. Happy Gilmore division. We had Graham's team, G-Spot, beating Shane's team, GB Packers. 147.7 to 114.15. Great victory for you, Graham. You were led by the Broncos defense with 39 plus points. And CeeDee Lamb with 27 plus points. Shane, your team was led by Jordan Love with 23 plus points and Justin Jefferson with 20 plus points. Shane, you had Cooper Kupp start off your matchup by putting up a 0, so that didn't help. This is obviously your second year in a row that you've been bumped out of the playoffs in the first round. So looking to be rebounding next year on that. Good luck to you. So now, Graham, you're off to the divisional championship. Who are you going to face? We're going to find out next. Because you're going to be going towards your second overall league championship. You're going to be going to your first divisional round championship. You are 3-0 all year. One Shane, 3-1 all time. So that's going to feel good for you. Obviously, always fun to be dominant over somebody. But these are the first 3 years. Things are going to start picking up. And Graham, now you get to find out. Who are you going to be facing in the Happy Gilmore Divisional Championship round? Well, Caden, you lost to Dan. Caden, your team was golf is better. Dan, your team is past the Dutch. You snuck into the playoffs this year, and you ended up beating the top seed in your division. 222.1 to 153.55. Great matchup. It was good to see. Really pushing. You missed the playoffs last year. Didn't finish dead last. But this year, you're on your way. Maybe this is the year that you get the championship, Dan. Caden, you were led by Devontae Adams, 45 plus points. And the Ravens defense with 25 plus points. Dan, you were led by Josh Allen with 48 plus points. And Brian Thomas with 33 plus points. Move on to the divisional championship round. You're going to be going up against Graham. Graham's looking for his second championship in 3 years. So, good matchup going to be going down there. Dan, like I said, you squeaked into the playoffs this year on the last day. Now you're off to the divisional championship round. Looking to go to that league championship. Best of luck to you. So like I said, Happy Gilmore division. This is your divisional championship. Dan, the 4th seed, versus Graham, the 2nd seed. The Shooter McGavin divisional championship. On the other side is going to be Nate, the number 1 seed in his division, versus Lawson, number 3 seed in his division. So we've got some great action coming up in the playoffs this upcoming week. Stay tuned. I didn't actually look at the scores that are ready because obviously we've had Thursday and a match already this Saturday. So there is points on the board. Somebody's ahead and somebody's behind. So let's finish things up with my goal-to-goal segment, my final thoughts. So, some news from Aiden Hutchinson. Apparently, he says he is on track to make his return for the Super Bowl. Well, Dan, Mr. Hutch, you gotta make sure your team gets to the Super Bowl. You can say anything you want, but until they get there, it doesn't mean shit. But good for you. Proud of you. That was a pretty serious leg injury. Josh Allen, you amazed again, like I was saying. Another huge performance. 5 pass TDs and 5 rushing TDs in 2 weeks. Great job. Just looking dominant. I think he might be the front runner for MVP. It's going to be him, obviously Lamar Jackson, and they always put Patrick Mahomes in there for some reason, although he has been having a really bad year. So I wouldn't personally put him in there. My top 3 would be Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, and Lamar Jackson. So that's what I would think the MVP race should look like. But, okay. Travis Kelce's going out with Taylor Swift still. Maybe we should put him in. Although, he's not going to have a great week. Great year either. Like I was saying, I have some news about the Falcons starting quarterback. They have benched Kirk Cousins for Michael Penix Jr. I don't understand this one. It's, again, thrusting a quarterback into a situation where he's not ready. You have Kirk Cousins for that. You gave him all that money. You may as well just go through with it. And you're in the NFC South. You're in the NFC South. It's a bad division, and you're still able to win that division. I don't understand why. And this is after a win. It's not like he lost a couple of games in a row. They just won with him as the quarterback. I just don't see it. I even watched the game a little bit. I didn't see it being a bad matchup for him. So I don't understand why they would be making this change right now. But it is Kirk Cousins out and Michael Penix Jr. in for starting quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons. Aaron Rodgers seems to be pissing everybody off. Ryan Clark is fed up with them. No one wants him around. I get the hate for this guy just because of there's so many things. But I still think he's got it. I still think he's got something left in the tank, and I'd love to see him come back next year and prove all these people that wrong. Although the Colts are going to win the Super Bowl next year, doesn't really matter. Jets, you could be close. You're not going to win, but you could be close. And if the Colts aren't in it, fucking go for it, bud. But he's also kind of mum on his future. He's saying, yeah, he'd love to be back with the Jets, but obviously the Jets are going through some turmoil with they fired Robert Sealand earlier in the year. They got a backup interim head coach right now. They fired their GM. So obviously they're going to be looking for those two pieces. Is the new regime going to be wanting Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback going forward? Even though that could be just 1 year, maybe 2 years. They don't really know because that's kind of just up to him. That's what happens when you're a quarterback or player that's very good in the league for a long time and you are on the last legs of your career. You kind of take the 1 year at a time kind of thing, and it's annoying, but it is what it is, right? So we'll see. Maybe he's back, maybe he retires, maybe he moves to a different team. Who knows? But I really like to see Aaron Rodgers be back and actually playing. I don't want to see him retire yet. I think he's still got something left in the tank. Chase Brown is looking awesome for the Bengals. Even though the Bengals haven't been having the greatest season, Chase Brown has been looking like quite a competent running back. And maybe he'll take over as the starting quarterback or running back. Maybe not next year, but it's pretty possible that he does. I don't see why they would. Like, yeah, they have Zach Moss, but where's he been this year? On the bench and being injured. So take that for what it is. Chargers made history this week, in the new week, making a fair field goal. First time in 48 years anybody has ever done that. It was a weird scenario. Basically, they had a pass interference penalty on the other team had a pass interference penalty on them on the last play of the drive to end the half. Well, then they're given the opportunity. They can take the snap and throw for it, or they can have a free field goal from that spot. And it was like just over 50 yards, and he gets to kick it like it's a kickoff to start a game, and he just punts it through. And it was just a weird scenario, but first time done in 48 years. I think 76 was the last time it was done, so awesome, I guess. Although it has nothing to do with our fantasy football league because we don't have kickers. There's no point. You want to win your match on a kicker. Fuck that. Like I was saying earlier, I'm going to be doing a new podcast probably sometime in February. Starting that, it's going to be called Grinding Gears. It's going to be a podcast about talking about random things. Just talking. I'll be hosting it, having somebody else on with me. Yeah, like I said, 2 episodes left of Upon Further Review for this season. And then in February, we'll be starting that other podcast. And then next football season, we'll be back for Upon Further Review. So make sure you check out the last 2 episodes. Merry Christmas, everybody. If you liked the episode, leave a like so it can get out to more people. Comment if you have anything to say, any questions you want, or just a straight up, hey, congratulations, big guy. Loving it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to the show, to the channel, so anytime we put up any episodes or shorts, you will get a notification of when it comes available. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining me once again, and I'll be back next week to break down everything you need to know.